Hey, everybody, this is Joe Joseph, and this is the DailySheeple.com's Daily News Brief. And now, my friends, I have for you an OOGA Booga alert. That's right. We have a radical left group that's plotting violence, my friends, for the Trump inauguration coming up in just a couple of days. SHDFplan.com says that they're saying chemical attack with butyric acid. Isn't that interesting? Listen to this. Will there be widespread riots and less than peaceful protests on January 20th? If the statement's caught on tape or any indication, there could be something much bigger going on that could spiral out of control. Riot cops and martial law contingencies are standing by as the deep divisions in our society will be tested once again as the bipolar love him or hate him crowds deal with the next this next president and the end of the Obama era. It was so wonderful. Oh. Now, will there be a spark or a trigger for outright civil unrest? Maybe not. But it seems that the scene has been set. And, of course, undercover counter-provocateur James O'Keefe staged yet another video instigation via Project Veritas and exposed one of the radical left's plans to disrupt the inauguration. And I'm going to post a link to this video in the description box so you guys can see this. But could there be disruptions at the inauguration? If I'm going to put my speculation hat on, and I'm always wrong, by the way, so don't trust me when I say this. I would say that if there's any sort of violence that's going to occur, it's probably going to occur after inauguration festivities. Maybe even between, like, the inauguration itself and perhaps the ball, whenever that takes place. Or the reason why I say that is because you're going to have, I think it was 8,000 National Guard and police on duty at that time. And others, you know, that's not counting your alphabet organizations and Secret Service. So you're going to have, it's going to be like a Gestapo, just to the, it's crazy. I mean, it's going to be nuts. So I don't really see the inauguration being at risk. But afterwards, after everybody goes, man, that was a good party. Then could you have something like that? Maybe. Could you have Soros-funded riots? You know, could you turn D.C. into a Ferguson? I don't know. I can tell you that, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. All you people out there that are planning on rioting or planning on protesting a Trump presidency, and again, I am not for Trump. Let me be perfectly clear. I'm no fan of Trump. I was no fan of anybody, to be honest with you. But Trump isn't the one you should be mad at. You should be mad at the DNC. You should be mad at Debbie Wasserman Schultz. You should be mad at the Clinton cartel for allowing them, that little cabal, that little, little group of control freaks, headed by the Clintons, went and stole the election from Bernie Sanders. It was his. If he was allowed to run, he goes up against Trump, he would have trounced him. And believe me, I didn't want Sanders in there either. But that's just the truth. So why are you mad at Trump? You should be mad at your party for scuttling its campaign. I mean, because that's really what happened. And it's interesting, too, because if there's violence, there's some funny things happening that are a little more than coincidental that would point to perhaps we might see some violence. I don't know. I hope not. But the Daily Sheeple, Piper McGowan, wrote an article today. That's strange. Weapons caches are found stashed in D.C. days before the inauguration. Interestingly enough, some lady out for a walk happened upon a couple of guns stashed in a violin case in the woods near the C&O Canal along the Potomac River in Washington, D.C. After the police were called in, more weapons caches were found, including long guns and pistols and ammunitions and pails and garbage bags tucked away in an area of the woods hikers aren't known to frequent. Quote, at this point, we don't know how they got there, why they're here, or when they got here. According to Sergeant Anna Rose, she's the police spokesman. Could be nothing, but it seems like another red flag. I don't know. You know? More like a false flag, if anything else. Not a red flag. What's clear at this point, Piper says, is that Inauguration Day is only 4 days away and people are amped up like they think it's going to be the film The Purge. The radical left is threatening riots like the nation hasn't seen in modern times. Organized protests to shut it down will be held just around the city and other counties and countries around the globe, with anti-Trump protesters holding press conferences to say they aren't supportive of a peaceful transition of power. In an unprecedented move, one of the top Inauguration Day security planners and head of the DNC National Guard was asked to step down. That's right, the general, the CO of the DC National Guard, who's in charge of the security there for Inauguration Day, is getting relieved at 12:01 during the middle of the ceremony. But there's nothing to see here. It's eerily reminiscent of, hey, how come all 3 lines of defense are down in D.C. around the Pentagon? Durr. You know? Not standard operating procedures. Something might be wrong here. That's all I'm saying. It's crazy. Now, like I said, I hope nothing happens. I'm certainly not clairvoyant. I can't see into the future, but I can tell you some of these things that are happening and the exposure. That's the nice thing about this, is that there's exposure. You know, independent media and alternative media are on this. And while, you know, the mainstream media, oh, they might write about it. They might, you know, tuck it away somewhere. But it's not going to be where it needs to be, out there to the masses. So no matter what goes down, Piper concludes, it's already shaping up to be one of the most bizarre transitions of power probably in the history of this nation. And maybe these weapons caches found in D.C. are nothing, she writes, but when you throw it on a pile of red flags fluttering around this thing, it's hard not to wonder if something bad is about to go down on Friday. I don't know. It could very well be, my friends. But it doesn't stop there, because why not add a little police state in on this too? The Sun over in the UK, of course, nothing says loving like police state over in the UK. And boy, they love their spying. But I have to tell you, the United States is right there with you. And the future of spying, they say, Earth's atmosphere can be turned into a massive surveillance system using lasers, scientists discover. Interesting. It says BAE Systems are designing a directed energy laser system that could allow military commanders to spy on enemy activities from space. BAE believes that within 50 years, which is code for 5 years, one of their aircraft could use an atmospheric lens to observe people from a very long distance using the Earth's atmosphere as a tool. The lasers temporarily change the Earth's atmosphere into magnifying glass structures, which can alter light and radio signals. That sounds a lot like HARP. You know, the hell with lasers, unless, I mean, now they're doing it with light too. Oh, let's just blast a hole in it and turn it into a magnifying glass. I mean, where are these people coming up with this type of these ideas? I mean, what the heck? This is nuts. You know, it's akin to, well, there's a 50-50 chance, you know, we detonate this bomb and we ignite the atmosphere and everybody dies. Oh, those sounds like good odds. I mean, really? It says, quote, working with some of the best minds in the UK, we're able to incorporate emerging and disruptive technologies and evolve the landscape of potential military technologies in ways that 5 or 10 years ago, many would never have dreamed possible. Yeah. Here I was thinking that HARP was like, ugh, man, that's bad. Where are we going to go from here? Oh, good. Now we'll just blast through our atmosphere with lasers and everything else. And just because Because, blasting it with billions of watts of power in a very concentrated spot, that's not bad enough. With RF. And then, of course, you got scalar. Oh, now we got these high-powered pulse lasers. Yum. I'll tell you, humanity certainly does know how to put all its knowledge and all of its efforts into destroying itself. I mean, could you imagine what life would be like on this planet if humanity put its efforts to work in ways that actually benefited humanity instead of destroyed it? Oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. Even KFC HuffPo's got a great piece kind of made that threw me for a loop. KFC's new facial recognition software is troubling for a few reasons. And they ask, what kind of chicken does your face look like? That's right. KFC just reached finger-licking levels of freaky, so HuffPo says. The fast food chain recently debuted facial recognition technology at a restaurant in Beijing, China, thanks to a partnership with the Chinese search engine Baidu. A spokesperson for KFC told Guardian that artificial intelligence-enabled systems provide meal recommendations based on consumers' age and mood. According to Baidu's press release, obtained by TechCrunch, the machine would offer a male customer in his early 20s something like a set meal of crispy chicken hamburger, roast chicken wings, and Coke. On the other hand, a female customer in her 50s would be given a recommendation of porridge and soybean milk for breakfast. Yum. After making the meal assessment based on your features, the AI-enabled machine can reportedly save the picture of your face to remember your order for future KFC visits. The culture of convenience, just when you thought it couldn't get any more convenient, folks. I'm telling you, pretty soon you won't have to leave the house. Better yet, here, just lay down in this little life pod and then shut your eyes, go to sleep, and you can live in your own reality any way you want, any way you want it. Just live in this little pod. That's it. Interesting. You know how you could see that scenario very easily happen. And look at how fast technology is advancing. I mean, everybody worries about AI and robots and, artificial intelligence. And there is certainly cause for concern. There's no doubt about it. I mean, when you start to really think about and have the potential to alter the human genome and DNA to the point where human beings are unrecognizable anymore, you have to wonder how long it can go on before we truly destroy ourselves. It's very interesting how humanity just seems to want to go down that road. It's unbelievable. But speaking of science, there are some cool things that are happening in science. And I want to go over a few right now. Airbus' CEO says he sees a flying car prototype ready by the end of this year. Think about that. Yes! Finally, my friends. We skipped over the hoverboard, okay? So we couldn't have the hoverboard. Damn it. And we went straight to flying cars. Finally, no more roads, potholes. I can deal with a little turbulence. But Reuters is reporting that Airbus Group plans to test a prototype for a self-piloting flying car as a way to avoid gridlock on city roads by the end of this year. That's what the CEO of Airbus said on Monday. Airbus last year formed a division called Urban Air Mobility that's exploring concepts such as a vehicle to transport individuals or a helicopter-style vehicle that can carry multiple riders. The aim, of course, would be for people to book the vehicle using an app similar to car-sharing schemes. Now, 100 years ago, urban transport went underground. Now we have the technological wherewithal to go above ground. This, according to Tom Enders, Airbus CEO. Now, the experimental phase, when they hit that, apparently it's very serious. So by the end of the year, we could be seeing a prototype. Probably out of our price range. But hey, it's kind of like it started with plasma screens, right? Everybody went from the tube television to the plasma screen. And when the plasma screen came out, it was very expensive. Most people couldn't afford it. And, then they went to the LED, and then they went to this and that. By now, you get an LED TV, couple $100, cheaper than any tube television you bought. Certainly from the 80s. I mean, anybody remembers the 80s. Geez, you had to buy a tube television, First of all, they lasted 20 years, but it's funny because things cost more because they were made in America. Yes. Interestingly enough, they're talking about doing this and doing it fast, perhaps implementing a flying car. Now, could you imagine people starting to use flying cars? I was like, finally, next thing you know, my friends, Mr. Fusion is coming. That's right. No more fossil fuels. Why did I use that word fossil? No more abiotic fuels. And we can do away with that and just use like banana peels and old stale cans of beer to fuel our flying cars. Finally, our final story of the night. What does Vice cost? Found this over on Zero Hedge. The world's cheapest and most expensive countries for drugs, booze, and cigarettes. Anybody out there that's thinking about traveling anywhere in the world, let me tell you, don't go to Japan. Don't go to Japan if you're looking for Vice, because holy crap, is it expensive. Listen to this. Indulging in a weekly habit of drugs, booze, and cigarettes can cost you as little as $41.40 in Laos and a whopping $1,441.50 in Japan. Ouch. Bloomberg compared the price of a basket of goods: tobacco, alcohol, amphetamine, cannabis, cocaine, and opioids. Wow, what a party. In more than 100 countries relative to the U.S., where your fix of the vices add up to almost $400, or about a third of the weekly income. Wow. Now listen to this. It says, here's the full basket of Vice that Bloomberg's comparing. A pack of cigarettes, most popular and premium brands, a bottle of alcoholic beverage, including beer, wine, and spirits, a gram of amphetamine type stimulant, including amphetamine, methamphetamine, or ecstasy, a gram of cannabis, including marijuana, herb, hashish, resin, and or cannabis oil, a gram of cocaine, regardless of salts, paste, or base forms, and a gram of opioids, including heroin and or opium. That's how they did it. And then they went and, I don't know, how do they get estimates for this thing, right? So I guess I don't even know how do they ask? It's kind of crazy. Hey, what's the going rate right now for a gram of coke? Wow. So anyway, don't go to Japan if you want to party. Or Bahrain, bad place to go. Or, holy crap, Venezuela. You think it'd be pretty easy to get it from Venezuela. But no. $3,645.40. I mean, that's crazy. You go up a little way into Honduras, $43. There you go. So it's interesting. Vice seems to cost quite a bit all over the world. Just one of those stories that give you that kind of information like, wow, don't go to Japan. I'm Joe Joseph. This was the DailySheeple.com's Daily News Brief. I'll have one again for you tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.